In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenge of getting accurate responses. Now, one particular experiment, it's from an article by Don Dillman that he cites. He describes an experiment where a group was asked, they're shown an image of a container of orange juice. Here we've got some delicious Sunny D on the screen, and they've been asked, how much orange juice do you think it contains? And that's a decent question. This happened to be in a focus group, but you could imagine this in a questionnaire or in an in-person interview. You could design this a lot of different ways. But that question itself, the prompt, how much orange juice do you think this contains, generated a lot of different responses. Percentage responses, using the oranges as a sort of a vague quantifier. Cups, quarter cup of oranges, none was one answer. Probably in the ballpark. Not much, 1/4 orange juice, very little if any orange juice, do not know, not very much, 3 to 4 ounces, a pint, most of it, about a glass and a half. You get the point. When you're asking for information from a respondent, you need to be specific. You need to tell them exactly what kind of information you're seeking, because you can interpret questions a lot of different ways, especially when you're getting to things, maybe constructs like ideology, partisanship, intention on voting for a candidate, intention to vote at all. You want to be specific when you're giving respondents options, because they need to be able to understand. And so just a few guidelines for writing questions that people can understand. Simple and familiar words. Avoid jargon. Be specific. Be concrete. Be precisely the type of response you're looking for. Keep it simple as well. Overly wordy, not good. Confuse people, lead to higher attrition. Of course, double-barreled questions, double negatives, anything like that you want to avoid, because double barrel questions, you're asking two questions, which one are they answering? Double negatives, you try and avoid that, because yes should mean yes. If they're saying yes, that's what it means. Yes shouldn't mean no somehow because of a bizarre question formulation. So those are simple rules. They're common sense. In terms of retrieving the information, so asking people to go into their memory banks and pull something out, avoid things that are maybe a little bit beyond the comprehension of the average person, some things that might be too technical. How do you rate the quality of healthcare? What is the square footage of your house? Asking about monetary policy or interest rates or things like that. Probably beyond the comprehension of the average voter or survey respondent. Unconventional thinking, calorie consumption, distance in kilometers are two examples. Again, think of, if you're asking them distance, think of driving time. That's probably something that's more easily, people are more easily able to approximate. Don't ask questions about other people, because people tend not to be good proxies for others. Who in your house has voted for the NDP? Probably not a great idea, right? You want to ask them direct questions about themselves. As soon as you get into second and third hand perspectives, you're going to risk the quality of your responses. And then recall problems. If you're asking people about something that happened a year or more ago, or from an election 4 years ago, as the time increases from the event, the time elapsed, it's going to be more difficult for the respondent to retrieve that. So those are just general principles to be mindful of. How many different prescription drugs have you taken in the past year? Oh my goodness. I'm not sure. I don't know. I would have to think about that. So, bad question. You want to be more specific. Here's some alternatives. I'd like to ask about the number of times you've been to the doctor. Have you seen a specialist? Have you seen this? Have you waited this? Were you prescribed any medication? So this is, it's sort of taking advantage of carryover effects. You're almost priming the respondent to recall certain information by sort of leading them. Think of doctor, then okay, specialist, emergency room. Okay, based on those memories, now have you been prescribed any medication? So that's a great example of getting recall. In terms of public opinion, maybe you're asking how they've supported. Do you recall the election between these two candidates? Do you remember what the issues were in that candidate? Do you remember how you felt about those candidates at that time, rather than what was the dominant issue in the 2004 election? Going to be hard to do. Then you got to build your survey. And so you want to think about the features that are going to benefit you in terms of functionality. They're going to be easy for the respondent. Are you going to use a lot of required questions? Sometimes questions that are sensitive, respondents want to skip them. There could be any reason. It could be overly technical. Maybe they want to skip a question like that. Do you want to put all the questions on one page, or do you want to break it up with one question on each page How many questions do you want on a page? If somebody's doing this on a mobile device and you've got 30 questions all on one page, how is that going to look as they're scrolling through? Do you want page breaks between each question? Visual progress bar at the bottom. This can be a good thing. If it's a shorter survey, this is good because it gives people the perception that they're moving fast. If it's a long survey, it can have a negative effect. It's, oh my God, it's taking so long. I got to get out of here. Page numbers can be good or bad. Do you want to allow users to backpage? Some folks don't want to do this. If you're if you're asking very specific types of question or you're testing order effects, you don't want users to backpage and go back. That's not something that would really help you in terms of your survey. So these are just general considerations that you want to think about when putting your survey together. These are strategies to help avoid attrition and to help survey respondents better retrieve information and offer more valid survey responses.